Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
In a world of carnivores and herbivores, it's eat or be eaten. It's time for Beastars. Welcome everybody to Shonen Jumping the Gun. I am your unabashed furry aficionado, Moxie The Yeen, here with my co-host fresh from the carnivore dorms. It's Isekai Sensei-Sama Brad. Brad, how you doing? Oh my. I might be... I'm in danger. It's a full moon. I don't know, I'm going to my Sonic voice. Let's see how long I can go before making a Vord joke. How about that? There you go. Glass has already been broken. As stated, hello everybody. Continuing our Beast arc, it was the no-brainer. We are covering Beastars, which, to pull back the curtain a little bit, I was planning on covering ages ago for our romance arc until I reread the first chapter and forgot there's no romance in the first one. Well, not the romance that I know it from.
Yeah.
I don't remember if she even... I guess she shows up later in book one, but it's like also looking back on it, it's a different thing. But yeah,
there's a hint.
Not good for the romance arc when there is literally that doesn't even kick in yet, even a little bit. When the love interest doesn't even show up. Just a row arc, no mance. But yes, we are covering Beastars, which is a complete series. It ran for 196 chapters from September 2016 to October 2020. It was written by Peru Itagaki, which, if that last name sounds familiar, she is the daughter of Kaisuke Itagaki, who is the author of Baki the Grappler. If you've ever seen the anime or read that manga, I'm sure we'll cover it one day. I don't even know where and what, but Baki's nuts. I don't
know what that falls under.
I don't know what it is like to have the man who writes that be your father. But I guess there's a lot of manga where I'm like, I don't know what it would mean for that person to be your dad.
I mean, turns you into the kind of person that writes this.
Beastars and goes around with a chicken mask on to hide your identity. Which admittedly she might just still do that still, but part of that, and she wrote under a pen name so people wouldn't know she was his kid, so there wasn't any nepotism because she wanted to make it on her own. And I think she has. I think Beastars is a well-known thing.
So is Beastars penned under the pen name?
Probably the beginning of it is, but I don't know by the end of it. Like, I don't know when that got revealed. Yeah. I'm freaking the daughter of the Baki the Grappler artist. You can see it. I don't know. Her art is so... But Baki the Grappler is so obsessed with the human form to an almost disgusting zenith. And this isn't, by virtue of it being furries in school uniforms. Yeah. But not in just... These are not coward furries. As I would say, this is not just humans with ears and a tail. Like, these are some furries, which is, what brought my attention. But before we get into that, we have to get through my Moxie's Mach Speed manga submarine. An alpaca boy worriedly looks at something before something attacks him? It's unclear. Splash page of our cast, Chapter 1, Introduction upon the Full Moon. Our alpaca boy is on the run through the school at night, chased by a carnivorous beast, possibly a wolf? We're classmates. Are you really going to eat me? He hides in a classroom, locking the door. Was I only just food to you? He thinks. The wolf-like creature breaks in, and the alpaca makes a stand. You're wrong. You are inferior to us. All you carnivores are monsters. But he's not ready to die yet. He had so much more to do. The alpaca is bloodily devoured. Cut to tomorrow morning and, wouldn't you know it, the dogs are playing poker near the herbivore dorm. One such herbivore comes out, which they warmly greet, but she instantly turns to go back inside. Was it something I said? No, something is going on. The police arrive and put up crime scene tape. It was the alpaca boy, Tem. He was found dead this morning. The police think a carnivore that goes to this school killed him, a horse tells our pack of canines. The horse also gives them a theater notebook to give Legoshi, their giant wolf friend. No way she's talking to a giant wolf today after a herbivore was eaten. Too risky. We then see Legoshi, not that we know that it's him yet, sulking in the shadows watching this play out. Cut to Drama Club, which Tem was a part of, and news of his demise swirls around. The show's in 2 weeks, what are we going to do? The teacher calls a meeting, and the herbivores and carnivores stand separated. Tem was only close to the meat eaters in Drama Club. Did one of you do it? An argument breaks out. You herbivores always do this. Act like victims and then trash talk us. Carnivores get expelled for fighting herbivores. The lights suddenly blink out. An apology out of the darkness. Up above, it's Legoshi. It was an accident. Go on with your talk. Hey, Legoshi hung out with Tem a lot. Does he know anything? Our wolf was being awkward and cagey. He said Tem had a lot of regrets and things he wanted to do but can't now. Any of us would feel that way if we suddenly died. Legoshi asks Els, the sheep, how she feels about Tem's death. Are you sad? Why are you asking me? I hardly knew him. I guess I'm sad, she responds. Cut to later in the female locker room, and Elle is wondering why was she singled out. She felt scared under the eyes of a predator. Is she next? In the boys' changing room, the Drama Club talks about who will replace Tem as Legoshi awkwardly leaves. Did he just take something from Tem's locker? A book he lent Tem, Legoshi says. Everybody thinks Legoshi is acting really weird and suspicious. The Drama Club teacher says he doesn't suspect our wolf, but he needs to understand that he's a huge carnivore and to keep track of his behavior. Legoshi only half listens as he leaves. He's used to being mistrusted by herbivores. It's nothing new. It's night, a full moon. Legoshi vows to finish what Tem couldn't. We see the sheep girl from earlier, Els, being walked home by a classmate. The friend tries to calm down her fears and suspicions of Legoshi. The two part ways as Els thinks on what Legoshi asked her. Is she sad? Suddenly she remembers she forgot her watch and heads back to the theater practice space. It's pitch dark as she enters, but then, a spotlight. Legoshi is above. He needed to talk to her alone. He followed her here. That spotlight was going to be for Tem's big scene. He modified himself so his fluffy fur would be highlighted in the light. It's like Tem is in front of him now. Els is freaking out. Why are you doing this? But Legoshi is confused by her asking. I'll be done soon. Don't be afraid. Come here. Legoshi thinks to Tem's viewpoint. I get it now. You must have been petrified, but don't worry. I'll avenge you. I won't give up. Legoshi draws closer as Els brandishes scissors at him. Do you think we're all just worthless beings to be eaten, you big wolf? We're so much more than that. Legoshi easily takes the scissors from her and overpowers her. He's like a demon to her. This is it. I'm gonna die. But wait! A hearted letter falls from Legoshi's pocket. Pick up that envelope, he commands her. It's for you. Pick it up. It's addressed from Tem to Els. Legoshi explains it's the love letter Tem was never able to give her. That's all he wanted to do. He'd see Tem every day talk himself up to deliver it, but never follow through. Els and Legoshi share an emotional moment outside, looking over the moonlit courtyard, discussing it all. Els tells Legoshi he's awkward but sweet. She was frightened but is thankful and will treasure the letter. She apologizes to Legoshi for the things she said about him, but he says don't. Don't let anybody know about tonight. He's used to being feared and hated. He'll live. He wanders off into the darkness. Legoshi, age 17, a gray wolf, the largest carnivore canidid in the world. And chapter 1. I like Beastars. I watched the anime before I read the manga. It's weird how much the first chapter both sets things up and doesn't set anything up at all. It's wild how the anime, and I'm assuming the manga, just does different things all the time when it wants to, and sometimes forgets other things, but I had a great time with it. Brett, mostly what I know is, how did you like this?
It's interesting that you say that, because when I got to the end of this chapter, I was like, I'm interested in this, but something about the manga is putting me off.
Is it the art style? Because I think the art style is too special for you.
Yeah. And I think the anime might be better for me.
If you're feeling that way, I would agree with that. I can get why somebody wouldn't be on the art. It's got like a brush strokey, sometimes abstracty quality to it, and the anime just kind of
watercolor.
I was thinking that a little bit too, yeah. And the anime still, the anime is CG,
yeah,
but I think it does a really good job with what it's doing.
Which I remember back when I saw clips of that, going, "Oh, ew."
I think it did a really good. Brother, ew. Forgot about that one.
But I still think that I would be more inclined to consume the CG than what this is doing.
Yeah.
Which I found unfortunate, because I was just thinking, like, if this was drawn slightly more normal, which is hard to, I mean, normal is obviously, that's a loaded term, but
yes.
like if it didn't have that sort of watercolorness to it, which I completely understand other people liking, but in something that I'm reading a lot of is not something I want. Because like the story and what it's doing, the setting and all that, I was totally on board with. I was like, this is interesting. I want to know who killed that llama. Like what is going on? Lugosi seems like he's autistic, so that's cool.
I didn't think about that because when I originally saw it and fell in love with Beastars, and I'm just like, I'm Lugosi. I'm in this picture.
I kept thinking like,
but yeah, yes.
What is the analogy here? Like, is there a real world analogy that I'm missing here? Is this a Koreans in Japan kind of thing that they're doing, or like what's the mirror world here that we're viewing? Because it doesn't seem like racism.
I think what's the same thing of like, do you see Zootopia? Like Zootopia came out shortly.
I should say black and white racism.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's lots of other racism, but that was the one specifically that I was thinking of.
I think it's why Carnivore Over works. This was something I always supported when Zootopia came out, is that it was close enough, but it didn't fit cleanly, and I thought that made the metaphor so much more powerful, because when you can one-to-one it brings a lot of baggage, but when you can't, you're freed of a lot of baggage to just tackle the idea.
Right.
And also some of it is literally a biological position of power, and literally it's like our main character is he is the biggest of them,
right?
But he's like too big for his frame, and they make multiple points where it's just like, dude, like even the medium-sized herbivores are scared of you because you're literally one of the giantest carnivores here.
And I guess you could make a gender analogy then, like, you know, men are generally bigger than women, and so they hold that power.
But also there's men and women, both carnivores and herbivores.
I think you're right.
I don't know how they process omnivores now that I think about it.
Fit cleanly enough to really peg it in one place. So, but that also to me feels like, you know, am I supposed to be getting a metaphor here? Is there a moral that's going on? Obviously, I only read the first chapter, so I can't make those kind of judgments. But
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the base of the story. Like I said, I'm gonna curve my notes from Zootopia, and just like I think you can put any number of things on it. I don't think any of them fit perfectly, and I think that's better for it. And some of that might just be because like I like the story, I like the things going on in it, I like crackling energy that hasn't arrived yet. I want to go back a little to your art thing, because the way you said that made me notice something I hadn't born. Think about it, is that like you read a lot of manga. I want to also make sure that this is not coming from a place, because sometimes I feel like when it's like, oh, I found a hole in your argument, I'm going to hit on it even if you're not going to change position. And I don't think that's what this is. This is me gaining a learning moment about how we take in a piece of media. Is that you've taken a lot of manga and you take it in quickly. And I think because you have to use more brain processing power, it's like you're trying to drive high speed through like ice or snow or mud. I don't think that's the best. That's not the meta. I need to tune the metaphor in more, but it's like to take in an art style like this, you have to slow down a little bit more to process it, just because it's a little bit more abstract.
Maybe.
And I think that means you can't take it in as fast, and that's why it's like you have to like rev your brain PC engine. You got to overclock it a little bit. Yeah,
I think that's.
I don't think that's. In no way do I think that's a bad thing. It's just I think it's like it's the things about why when you talk to people about what they feel about media, there's so much stuff that is unspoken, that is unnoticed in how they take things in.
I think
because I've definitely had that.
You might be onto something there, and I think it definitely, it almost certainly has to deal with how much I consume, because. I want to consume these things. I want to get the story out of things. So it's almost as if the art in things can be distracting. Whereas like
I'm sorry that I'm laughing. That is a genuine phrase, and I get you, but it's so funny of this picture. I don't like the pictures in this picture book. They're getting away in the way of the words.
Well, no, and this is
read these picture books.
And this is the point where
the irony of that,
where Ben would say, "Just read a book."
Yeah, exactly.
But then also, I sort of feel like the words get in the way as well. there's too many words in a book. So I need like this middle ground where it's the same way as like
manga.
watching a movie or a TV show where it's like the things are happening. You want to get the story out of that. You need the visual representation of things to see people's facial expressions and how they're moving.
You can communicate more. You can ground things more. You can hold things in your brain when you know what things look like and you don't have to imagine it. Because I feel like both. I don't know if your ability to visually picture things is good, but mine's dog shit.
It's pretty good, but I have to actually work at it.
Yeah.
As opposed to these.
That's what I like, because I don't have to constantly be rendering the room as I'm reading something, unless the author paints things like really specifically. But then you're spending all your time painting and not telling a story. And
then on the flip side of that, TV movie analogy, if it's just full of effects all the time, there's flashing lights and all that stuff going on, you don't know what's going on.
It's overwhelming.
You miss the story part.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need that balance between the two. And I think a lot of times with manga, you get this thing where people are consuming it because it looks cool. And I'm sure for people who don't consume as much as I do, like, yeah, they're getting the story too, but it's like, oh, this looks really neat. Look at this cool art style and everything. They're doing something different. When it's like, I want the story to come into my head smoothly. And the balance between the words and the art is what creates that smooth
transition. But this one where you have to think a little bit more. Like, the art is not... We've had ones where we've read it and the art is bad and that makes it hard to take in, so you have to process more. But this is an art style.
Yeah.
And it's not so abstract that you have a hard time, but it's just like you have to rock in
I don't
more.
think there was any point here where I was confused about what was going on. Like the
information is all there. You just have to... You got to turn up the sensors a little bit
and as far as
take
like,
it in and put it into information then that stores in your brain.
As far as like camera angles and action that was occurring and all that kind of stuff, the only parts that I was confused about are the parts you're supposed to be confused about, like at the beginning, like who was that? Who killed that guy and all that? Yeah. So, yeah, I would say like, and this is definitely, the style of this one was borderline for me. Okay. So I would say like, if someone is listening to this going, oh, maybe I wouldn't like it then because I have a similar thing with art or whatever, it's like, you'd probably be fine with it. I think this is
give it a shot. I'm sure the first chapter is floating around somewhere outside of like, I didn't bring it to the studio with me, but like this is one that I own the first Tankobon for and would probably slowly make my way through the rest of them and keep them around because like, I have not finished Beastars. I've only seen the first 2 seasons of the anime and I know things, I'll get to the third one at some point, which I think is dropped or is dropping at any point soon now. I don't actually remember if it already did or not. I don't have Netflix at the moment. But I had a grand old time with the first 2 seasons, even if season 1 and season 2 gave me drastically different things. I've just kind of fallen in love with the world and just like, I'll just futz around here and have a good time and see where they're going because it's kind of insane. But like, I think they build the mystery well here. Like I said, there's so many characters we have not met yet that it's wild to me. Like, I guess to tune in the future vision a little bit, we have to meet Louis, who is he's a deer. He's like a major force in the drama club. He's basically of just like, what if an herbivore walked around acting like a carnivore? Like, he's not an asshole, but he's like king bitch and like the best. Like, he is.
Deer do eat like birds that fall on the ground and
there
stuff.
Might be a bit about that in that. I don't remember. And some of this is also like the dub voices are in my ear because the dub was really good. I had a really good time with the dub. It's got a lot of personality to it. But like, he's a great thing because it's like you've got the playing off of like, here's a herbivore who wants to be king of the castle and wants to go and grab that power and take it. And then you have him interacting with Legoshi, who is literally the king of the mountain and doesn't want to be there and is really upset and anxious all the time because he's up there.
There are no bears. There's a polar bear.
There's
I saw
a bear.
Polar
There's
bear.
a bear.
Why is the polar bear not?
I think because bears are chiller than wolves, I guess. I don't know. That's the thing of this.
You should meet a polar bear.
I guess. I don't. They're chill in the Arctic. They're literally chilling. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Polar bears, grizzly bears, especially the Kodiak, you would rather be locked up with a gray wolf.
I'm sure.
Plus the tiger. There was a tiger.
Yeah.
Tigers are fucking monsters.
I didn't write the manga. I'm not the daughter of the Baki the Grappler artist. I don't have power over this.
Not all tigers, but most tigers are bigger than gray wolves.
Yeah. Well, he's big. I don't know what to tell you. In this world, he big.
I think she just has a wolf fetish.
I mean, sure. They're a very easy go-to. I'm not going to say no. Because what? We didn't meet Louis. We didn't... I mean, we might even just see him in passing. Haru's not even here, who's the rabbit girl.
Yeah.
And, that was... That relationship...
I don't think we even got a cameo or anything.
Nope, she doesn't show up. I think she has to show up. There's two characters that are part of the love story that don't show up until later, which is wild to think about. And I'm going to talk about this a little because I'm not going to have another time to talk about this, barring we somehow watch the anime season and then talk about it, which I don't foresee happening, but I don't know that. Because it's that's where the romance, because it's this weird back and forth between Legoshi and Haru of the biggest carnivore and the most herbivore that's ever been. She literally works in the garden. And a weird, how do I place this nicely? This weird dichotomy of... I gotta make sure I don't sound like a complete degenerate. I have to sell this properly. The thing of, I don't know if I want to have sex with you or eat you. And those are somehow intertwined, and it's kind of fuzzy what that means. And that is just
fuzzy.
Hey, gonna pet all the fluffs, Brad. And Legoshi just freaking has no idea what to do with all these instincts going on inside his brain. I'm like, that's me. I get that. That's why I felt a lot of connection to that whole story arc with that. So, there's definitely that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to put in the romance arc, because all the romance stuff, even though it's not in the classical sense, and if I look at it now in my I've grown since I last watched this and piece some things together, maybe a little unhealthy, but it's just when you're just when an itch is getting scratched, it doesn't get scratched a lot. It can be very satisfying, because it's all freaking tension, turn up the knob a little bit by little bit.
I mean,
which I like.
There almost certainly is some gender inequality stuff going on there, right?
You think so?
Well, and you think about the man in this relationship is a big old wolf. And the woman is a tiny little rabbit.
Yeah, but she doesn't give a fuck that he's a huge wolf. She's just in it. She's just I could die at any moment. Fuck it. I'm constantly in danger. I'm literally one of the smallest mammals here. That's what I love about Haru, is she just doesn't take any shit for the most part. And you think, again, it's like Louis, who's the deer. All these herbivores are just fuck it, I'm going for it. We ball. And some of the carnivores are just oh, geez. I mean, Legoshi's oh, geez, oh, man. And then there's another female wolf shows up later, and it's just that complicates things.
I was thinking about it in terms of a teenager going through puberty, a male teenager going through puberty.
There's definitely some energy in that.
You have to deal with the fact that you're a big man.
Oh yeah. I would put that. I think in the way that you couldn't place herbivore, carnivore, and a perfect is it race, is it other things. I think there's a lot of ideas that you can notice swirling around in the gumbo pot, but I don't think it's any of them 100%. And this Beastars is about this.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of themes floating in it that are intentional. That work out like that.
And you definitely can't pick up any of that from the first chapter.
No, but it gets there, but it builds
I got hints of anything, really.
But it starts the thing of there is a specific social structure between herbivores and carnivores, and they are sharing a space, and the particulars of how that came to be, you may or may not learn, and you kind of delve into this world and follow these characters and all the little things and vibes that play out of that. So, and just again, because I will to final out, and then we go into where do you think it will go? I guess to that, I will always remember, and I've saved forever, when the anime was coming out, and I don't even remember the context of it, but on a Reddit that I frequent, the one I frequent, somebody just in not broken English, but clearly slamming on their keyboard, whether intentional or otherwise, attempted to write the phrase, I want to know if the wolf fucks the bunny. But by the way, it's I want to know if the wolf fucks the bunny. And I think about that a lot. And one time he reappeared when they had a follow-up chapter from the Beastars characters in Beast Complex, and somebody mentioned that comment. I'm like, somebody else remembers. Because Because it was like, I think it was somebody talking about like all the other things Beastars does instead of focusing on that relationship. And it was just like, I just want to know if the wolf fucks the bunny. But yeah, Brad, where do you think it's going? With all the weird stuff I've told you, and I haven't even gotten a lot of the weird stuff.
Yeah.
And the weird that I just hear some other characters that will show up in their vague dynamics.
I mean, given the fact that from this first chapter, I don't think I would have even guessed that there's like a romance with the main character.
A horny romance.
Yeah. Like there's no way.
I'm curious how horny the manga is. I'm very curious.
There's no way you can tell from the first chapter.
That was one of the things, as soon as I read that, I'm like, we can't do this romance arc. There's not even like hints. There's literally nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, where's it going to go? Who knows?
Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to have that.
Onward and outward.
What do you want to see more or less of? An art style my brain can take in nicely.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that, and then I was also thinking,
That's a cheat answer.
All the other stuff that I can think of, I can find on the internet. Yeah. I am interested in the sort of social commentary that could happen here, but I don't know if I can get that. So.
I have a question for a future part, but we'll get there when we get there. First, we're here at the end. Feelings. How do you feel about it subjectively, and how do you feel about it objectively? What are your feelings and what are your thoughts?
So, my thinky thinks.
Your thinky thinks
are that I think this is good.
Okay. Is there a modifier on that, or just good though?
Good, positive.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of what it's doing, it's doing well. So short of the art style not doing it for me, I think for other people, it's got everything it needs. So.
Okay.
My feels, I'm actually also going to say good.
Okay, I can accept that.
And good, positive.
Yeah.
But in different ways.
So, I swear it's different. No, yeah. I get that. Sometimes they can line up together, and sometimes it can be. Yeah.
Most of it is very close. It's just that the art
style is kind of what.
Go, this art isn't for me. I can see it being for other people. But the story, the characters, what it's doing, the hints that I've got from this first chapter, I'm on board for. So.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, in the similar thing, but in a different ranking, I would say both thinky thoughts and feely feels are great. Some of it is the excitement of knowing what comes later and being excited about that, but I still think this first chapter does a good job of introducing Legoshi and the situation and introducing you to the world, but also building intrigue that I think it builds well. I mean, to rewind a few months, like the Sidcraft mystery, when we covered Sidcraft, like, but I feel like they build a mystery where you think it's Legoshi, and then when it plays out, you're just like, genuinely, it's like, he's just a freaking big, weird, awkward goober who doesn't get it. But like that hard thing of like, he saw, like, he's breaking into Tem's locker to get the letter to deliver it because he saw this every day, and Tem was his friend, and he couldn't leave it unthing. But also, like, did he eat him, or was that someone else? That looked like a wolf, but it's unclear. And he says he didn't, but like, I don't know. And that's like...
Maybe he was out of his mind and he doesn't remember doing it.
Just in a freaking carnivore meat rage. Who knows?
Meat rage.
Meat rage. That'll be us when we go to dinner shortly. But no, I think it's great. I remember originally when I was watching the anime and saw the manga art style for the first time, which would have been years ago. I don't even think we were podcasting at that point. I think I was a little turned off from it because I liked the art style of the show, but now that it's been some time, like, I kind of really dig it because I love
They're very different.
I love how weird and stylized it is, and just like, it's really nice to see non-coward furries in manga shape. Like, it's just nice to have that because they just don't exist seemingly. Everybody, Japan hasn't learned properly about furries. They just make coward furries, which sucks. But yeah, I think it's great. For would you buy, because you had your manga specific thing, this was the thing I said earlier I want to ask you. Would you genuinely want to sit down with me and watch the anime? Like, genuinely, not in the like, oh yeah, sure, well, I'll read Golden Kamuy at some point. Like, genuinely, cards on the table, you can't hurt my feelings. Genuinely, should I add it to the list?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can literally get off the boat whenever you want because I've seen it already, but I would love to revisit it.
I would say, this is one where pretending the anime doesn't exist. I would have said like, I wouldn't buy this, but if I could,
but I would lend it to you.
Yeah, if I could, I could read.
The tables have turned.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to lend it to you.
The anime not existing, I'm interested enough that I want to see where it goes, but I wouldn't want to put any skin in the game for that.
I get that. Yep. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I mean, obviously, I've answered the question. I own the tankobon. That is an incredible rarity. I intend to own more of them. I just have to get around to that because I'm trying to watch my wallet. It's kind of hard.
Viz has them all.
Live and be tough. It is on the Viz app digitally, but it is not in. I don't believe it's chapter by chapter. I think it's digital volumes.
Really?
I think
I couldn't find a place to read it online.
I'm gonna live check this because this feels like important information.
Was searching it on Viz, it seemed like you could only buy the volumes.
It's on the. That's what I'm saying. It's on the Jump app or the Viz app, but it is only.
Oh, like you can buy the digital volumes.
Yeah.
Okay, but not.
I think Jump publishes them, but it wasn't in Jump because Viz publishes them.
Right.
I should have had the manga with me, but like because I know I've seen it there, and I'm like, oh shit, I could read Beastars back when I was first getting on the app, and then I'm like, oh, it's only here because of digital volumes, and I think it's on the Viz app because I just checked the Shonen Jump app. But also I typed in Beast and Beast Children didn't show up, so something's up.
Which just so everybody knows, like your subscription to Viz or Shonen Jump, you don't get volumes. You still have to buy those as digital volumes.
But you keep those even when you weren't subscribed.
Right.
So I haven't checked the Viz one. I mean, maybe it's there. I haven't been subscribed. I unsubscribed to the Viz app ages ago because I just didn't have the bandwidth and there was nothing on it I was reading. But I might go back now that I'm getting into like the Shonen doldrums and want something different. Just because it's the end of our day of recording Beast episodes until the next set. What's your ranking of our 3 Beast series?
Man, that's hard because they're all so different.
That's why I'm excited to be out of sports arc because we're now, especially this one where it's like there is literally the only connective tissue is the word beast, which has a bunch of different things to it.
We're not running out of ideas, people.
No,
we just thought this was funny.
Was Brad. Literally, we were talking, and Brad was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if Beast Children was actually not the end of the sports arc, but the beginning of the Beast arc?" And I'm like, "What is that?" It was too good of a shit post to pass up.
Jeez. All right, I'm gonna rank Beast Tamer Saint number 1.
Okay, yeah, that tracks.
I'm gonna put this at number 2.
Thank you.
Because even though I don't want to keep reading the manga,
you still want to take in the story.
Yeah, I'm more interested in this story than I am of the Beast Children story. Yeah. Even though I am still interested in Beast Children. So like they're all high ranked.
They're pretty good.
Not they're so different.
That's what's fun about it. That's what's fun about ranking them more. Because it's weird. It's apples and oranges.
How would you rank taking a car trip, reading a book, or eating a pear?
Where am I going in the car trip? I could do all of those at the same time, Brad. Beastars is at the top easily. Beast Tamer is right below it. Beast Children after that. Beast Children update. I'm about halfway through it, if that. It's fine. I don't think it's garbage, but I've cooled on it because it just feels like... And I don't know how much of that is just me being in Shonen doldrums, but it's definitely... I like how this author writes their main characters to be like weird little autistic hyper-focusers. And that's just his thing, but it's just like, I don't know exactly where we're going, so I'm kind of in hazy haze land. But I like the bones, I think, are still there. But I also don't think it's rancid, but I don't think it's amazing. I think it's like, it's fine. And I think Greens. I want the energy of Beast Children and the refinement that the author got in Greens to make whatever he makes next. But also, I don't think they're going to be a sports series unless that's all he's dying to write.
I haven't read any more Beast Children as of this recording.
I would say, originally I was like, we need to both do it together, but now that I've gotten into it and I've just kind of stuck in the bog, I would say don't. And maybe there's a part even after later that like things start really turning, but I'm just at the point where I'm just like, I've tried to read too much of this and I'm not, like if I had to read this week by week, it'd be easy street. but I'm
still
kind of
want to,
mired a little bit.
and I'll probably blow through it in one sitting because it's not that many chapters.
No, but we can get a little bog.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's not as clear.
It's so funny to think I used to binge stuff. Like there was a point in during the pandemic where
we could do a lot of things during the pandemic.
I was reading 100+ chapters a day.
That's insane.
Not of all the same thing. But
no,
like
the Jump app would literally stop you if you tried to read 100 of one.
But like now, when I see like 5 or 6 chapters in a row of something, I'm like.
I go through my own little arcs of like I can read so much manga and like I can barely scribble through a chapter or two maybe of something I'm kind of pawing at, and then when we get a new set of chapters in Jump I can kind of make my way through that, but it's not as joyous, and then something will happen and I'll be like, yeah, I'm excited about manga again.
I will say
reading.
Though, that's just if it's one series that's a bunch of chapters.
Yeah, spread out.
I'm still reading like 30 to 40 chapters a day of all the various things that I'm following.
Yeah.
So. If it's like 20 chapters in a day, that's a light day.
Mm.
But again, as we've established in this episode, I'm not, hyper consuming, like hyper focus consuming.
You're
things.
hyper consuming.
I'm hyper consuming when hyper focusing.
Consume product.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're better than that. Mostly. But with that, tangent, at the end of the episode. So thank you everybody for listening. And Brad, him with them plugs.
Yeah, as always, we want to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch. They have a lot of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. Our listeners can check the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order. You can also let us know what you think on social media, which you can find links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. You can also leave comments about these podcast episodes and find other posts and reviews. We've also got a Discord where you can chat with us, which is the best place to come and chat with us. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. Our supporters get perks like bonus episodes, getting to vote on which series we cover on heroin addiction, as well as getting the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early. And of course, we need to shout out our patrons. So first and foremost, at our noble tier, we have our marquee, Sir Cake Dwarf. At our reincarnator tier, we've got Moon. And last but not least, at our commoner tier, we've got Rena and Kill Hour. So thank you so much to all our patrons.
Thank you, Brad, for that. Thank you once again, everybody, for listening. Make sure you listen to all the other podcast series on our feed. And, oh gosh, Brad, it's a full moon tonight. You know what that means? Cut to tomorrow morning, and wouldn't you know it, the dogs are playing poker near the herbivore derm. The herbivore derm. Cut to tomorrow morning, and wouldn't you know it, the dogs are playing poker. Fuck. I did such a good job on your summary that you wrote and I hadn't read, and now that I'm reading a thing that I wrote, I'm just falling to pieces. Thriller?
Close to midnight.
We're gonna go eat some ramen now.
I don't know any of the words to the song.
You start to scream.
But you make it. When it's time to bang, before eyes, you're paralyzed. Cause this is thriller night. Oh, this is thriller tonight. Thriller tonight.